Hey guys, thanks for tuning in and welcome to another review of a monster truck. 1/12 scale truck by FEIYUE Aero Modeling. It's called the Brave. 4-wheel drive, and this one is, it's saying it's an amphibious vehicle. I don't know if it's going to be waterproof. I guess we'll definitely have to put that through the test, but it's touting itself as a rock climber. Full ball bearings, metal shocks. Are they calling this a rudder machine? Interesting. I thought that was a servo. Anyway, that's it. This is not brushless, but we're going to unbox this, put it through a bash test after we kind of unbox it, inspect it here on the table, go in depth with it, take it out there and do a neighborhood bash and see how it holds up. Let's get started. If we go over to the back of the box, it looks like I got the orange version, and they're calling this thing the FY12. So FYI, it's the FY12 model number. So let's lift off the top of this box and see what we get. All right, little tire guards on either side. Take these guys out, nothing else in there. Pull the truck out, definitely looks pretty cool. No oil-filled shocks there, as you can see from that bounce. Other things in the box, we have a remote controller, very interesting looking remote control. And just this bag of stuff. Looks like there's the wheel to control it, there's a hex wrench for the tires, and there is a China Euro charger and a screwdriver and the manual. So first off, what we'll do is we'll put this stuff back there on the side and we will take a closer look at this killer looking truck. Just rotating this thing around, front and rear, a little bit of a thin bumper on the front, not bad. Oh, but there are real lights in there. I'm seeing a circuit board behind there. So look at that. So we're gonna have real LED lights in the front. Checking out the bottom, so we have a nice tub chassis here. Actually looks pretty good, pretty clean. There's no rear bumper. Looks like that front bumper is gonna hold quite a bit of impact. And we do have the H-arms and A-arms here. Definitely no oil in these shocks. They're just very bouncy, but it does look pretty darn good. The steering links are plastic, so I'm not sure if that's going to be holding up to some abuse, but maybe they'll just flex and not break. We'll check that out. Okay, so 4 body clips. Oh, I almost forgot. It does have actually a whole light bar on top. See that? And this is all actually active. There's a light bar that's circuit board back there, so we're going to be careful taking this off because yes, it is plugged in. You can see there, it is plugged into the chassis. So we unplug that. You see that little plug there? So that's pretty cool. A whole light kit already installed. That's really neat. The other plug is for the front lights. So they're not kidding when they say amphibious vehicle. Look at that. So we have foam up on the sides here, and I guess that's going to make it float if we do get in the water, so it won't sink. So that's pretty cool. And we've got this entire screen mesh and this entire cover to cover the whole top of the car. And FYI, I'm looking at the actual dog bones here, the axles, and these guys are actually plastic. Even the drive cups, these are plastic as well. So these guys plastic, everything's basically plastic in the drive line. If it's 4-wheel drive though, I'm thinking hopefully maybe it has the drive shaft going up and down, front to back is hopefully metal. Here we go, let's pop these guys off here. We've got 2 levers here and we can pop this top off. Pretty interesting. Now this isn't gonna be waterproof, but it looks like it's a screen that's gonna make it at least splash proof, or you know, it's gonna keep the rocks and dirt out. Here is a 2S lithium polymer battery pack. So this is a 1500 milliamp hour. 2S 25C. It's got that Dean's connector on there. Everything else is enclosed. You can take that off if you want to unscrew 1, 2 screws there, and then there's a few screws in the bottom here, and then 2 screws on the top. So I'm actually just going to leave everything in here. I'm not going to take this all apart. Feeling these tires, they do not have any holes in them, so they are full of air, and it feels like they're sealed. So they're going to be able to kind of float on the water. So this will be interesting. I can't imagine you can really submerge it and keep everything working, but I guess it's made to float on top of the water And then these work as paddle tires, and you can actually traverse through the water. So we'll definitely be trying that. But very intriguing, a kind of an interesting design. I think it's really imaginative. And actually coming to think of it here, oh wow, this whole bottom is foam. You see this? So it's a whole bottom case of foam encapsulating the whole bottom of the truck. Kind of unfortunate that there is no oil in these shocks. You see how if we drop it, it's just really springy and it just springs back up. Oil filled would really just dampen and keep it from bouncing up. Cool looking body. It does have this plastic film over the Lexan, so if you wanted to take this off, you could give it a little more shine. We've got a roll cage here. Again, there's lights on the top and in the front. So we almost forgot to open up this little bag here. So here's everything that comes in here. We got charger, a screwdriver. So if you did want to take apart that top cover, you could. This is the wheel for the controller right here. We'll put that on right now. And if you look inside the wheel, there's actually a little notch that can only go on one way. And that's it. And it looks like there needs to be a screw. Did they even give us a screw? There it is. Okay. Yes, they remembered to put a screw in the box. So after you get that little D slot on there, you just screw this screw right in to hold on the wheel. And that thing's on there. Definitely a very cheap controller. It does take 3 AA batteries, throttle, brake, and reverse. Feels good in the hand though. It's got a nice foamy rubber on top. There's going to be our steering trim. There is no throttle trim, unfortunately. They do give you a nice exploded view of all the parts, so if you did want to order some extra parts, I guess you could go to FEIYUE Models website. Wow, yeah, so lots of extra parts here if you needed those. All right, guys, well, I guess that's it for the table review here. Let's get this thing all powered up, get out there to the neighborhood, bash this thing pretty hard, and find some water too, and just see how this thing floats on the water since it has the air-filled tires with no hole in them and also that foam on the bottom of the chassis. Let's see how this thing does. It just started pouring outside, and so I thought it might be a perfect time to test this thing because this thing is considered to be an amphibious vehicle. So it just started pouring and it kind of let up a little bit, but it's still raining. You can see it's raining out there. There's some puddles. And so let's just really just give this thing a run for its money in the puddles. I'm even going to take it out back to the pool and just kind of set it in the pool, see how it floats, and see if you can actually run it on deep water. So really easy. You can just have everything plugged in, the battery's in, fully charged. You can just reach under here and turn the thing on. Just push it forward and then turn on your controller. And as you can see, it binds right up after everything stops blinking. We got steering here. Looks like it's trimmed a little to the right too much, so we just take our trim and let's just kind of trim it straight until it starts kind of running straight. Let's take it out to the road. Man, so I don't think the controller is waterproof, so I'm gonna have to kind of guard this under my hat while I'm talking. Okay, so here we go. Feels a little bit slippery because it is, whoa, it is all wet. Wow, so it's slipping kind of all over the place. We'll just make sure it's trimmed to go straight. And a little bit to the right, so I'm just giving it in a straight line and then just kind of trimming it as I see fit. That should be pretty good. So let's run through some puddles and stuff. Yeah, it's definitely pretty slippery. There we go, there's a puddle. Let's just blast it. This is full speed. And it seems like it lost connection for a second there. That was interesting. Whoa. So you can definitely do some, look at that. You can definitely do some spin outs. Turning to the left, not quite as, well, yeah, you can still do crazy spins. It seems like turning to the right, you can spin it a little more. Let's do that kind of close up so you can see this thing spin like crazy. So full stick to the right. And then look at that. So this is only 2S, guys, but it seems like it's going pretty quick. Let's just hit these puddles right here and then we'll take it more into the dirt and stuff. I just want to see really just how full blast. Whoa. And see how the brakes work too. Not bad. Full throttle. Whoa. And then brake. Yeah, the brakes work pretty good. It just locks the brakes up. And they're just kind of sliding on this wet. I actually went into reverse there. Let's try that again. Full throttle to brake. Wow, so it goes into reverse, it seems. Like right away. Nope, that time it didn't. Anyways, reverse is stopping. I guess if it reaches a certain speed, if it slows to a certain speed, you can just go into reverse. See how it just went straight into reverse. So sometimes it goes into reverse right away, so that's kind of weird. But anyway, that's brake and then reverse. Full reverse, a little bit slower. Okay, enough with the puddles right now. Let's get it, bash some of these curbs. Woo! And some rocks before we get it into the pool. Ooh! I just nailed it on that curb there. Hopefully it didn't break anything. The left front hit pretty hard. Let's get over to my rock spot. See how it traverses in some rocks. Again, no oil-filled suspension. Oh, kind of high centered on there. See if we can get off. There we go. Okay. So super bouncy. And keep in mind the tires are like full of air and it's slippery right now, so they're not going to do too well. Good enough though. Definitely getting over these rocks. Let's go a little bit faster. Yeah, so we can kind of rock race over them. But it's just a really bouncy suspension. It's a really fun truck. Let's get in some grass. So not very fast at all in the grass. You can see how it's pretty slow. And it is bottoming out quite bad when it does hit its suspension. So pretty bouncy. Still fun. See how the lights look. Didn't even look at the lights yet. So there's that top light bar, and the two in the front. Looks pretty good. Let's do some bashing right across here. So compared to some 2S lipo trucks, this one isn't very fast. Keep that in mind. That's its maximum speed there. Boom! And it doesn't jump that great for some reason. I'm usually launching this pretty good with some other trucks, but full throttle. Oh, that was a hard hit. We'll be assessing the damage too after we do this bash. Let me go down the street and see how far we can get before we lose signal. Oh, boy, that was it. So not very far at all, guys. You're only gonna get about, I'm totally out of signal. Still out of signal. Unless something happened. So man, you're only gonna get like 75 feet with this one. Starting to regain signal. Come on. There we go. Okay. So gosh, really spotty. Even like 50 feet. That's full speed there. It's kind of slow. Yeah, I'm already getting spotty going that far, so you're like 50 to 75 feet with this one, so not very good. Probably the antenna orientation in here and in the truck as well. Woohoo! Ooh, just nailed that rock. Powered over some rocks here. You know what? Let's save a little bit of the battery for the pool. So I'm gonna take it out to the backyard. Let's go check it out in the pool since this is claimed to be amphibious. I just want to set it in the water like this. Whoa. So be careful of that. Grabbing it on this back bar isn't supported very well. So I'd recommend grabbing it probably from the front bumper or like right under the front wheels like that if you're going to carry it. Let's take it in the backyard, see how it does in this pool back here. Watch out, chicken. There's our little silky. got a lot bigger and she's laying eggs now. Okay, wish me luck. I'm gonna put this in the water. Let's see how this thing floats and stuff. Oh, please don't ruin anything. Okay, well, it's floating. And I'm driving in the water. That's pretty cool. I'll just circle around here. I have no idea how the water is going to possibly be getting into the electronics. Wow, I can even actually spin it. Let me drive a little bit faster coming by. Whoa, the back wants to go down. I must be getting water somewhere in the electronics. You see when I give it throttle like that? It's actually better at going backwards because the tires are kind of paddles. The tread is gripping more going back in the water. Full throttle now. Oh, we just submerged the whole back. Okay, so it is amphibious. It's just not very good at going forward. So what you might want to do if you're going to be doing it in the water like this, you may want to switch the tires around. Let me just show you that real quick. Seems like you get a lot more control and speed. You see how the pattern's like an arrow towards the front? If you switch these tires around so that the tread arrow is facing backwards, watch how much faster and more traction it has going back. Watch this. You see how much faster it's moving and how much more control? Look at that. So if you're going to be driving in the water like that, do the switch. Here's forward. See how it's just not getting as much traction at all because it's not making the same kind of cup in the water for the traction. That was forward and back. Look at that. Just much faster and much more control going back. This is kind of neat. I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm sure it's getting flooded with water right now, but I'm just going to keep going until something happens. Let's full reverse now. Whoa, the whole front went down and it's still going. It shut off just for a second. Full throttle forward now. Whoa, that thing went down. Uh-oh, now I can't even really turn. I think because the filter pump is pushing the water out. But look at that, coming back, you can go much faster. So guys, it is an amphibious vehicle and all the lights are still working amazingly. I'll tell you what, when we're done with this, I'm gonna take it out right side up and we're gonna see how much water is in that cage. I can't believe it's still working. This is great. Let me get it close and then do full throttle forward and full throttle back so you can really see what happens. Okay, full throttle back now. Oh, holding it. Oh, wow, so the front just submerges and the back stays up. Let's try full throttle forward. You're gonna see the back submerge. Whoa! Oh, it went like totally submerged in the water just about. Let's try that again. Ah! Whoa! Upside down. Uh-oh. And still working. Oh my goodness. Still works upside down. Still going. My goodness. Alright, so this is the best water truck I've ever had. Out of the box. Ready to run. You know what I mean? It's working really good. Definitely is working as described. Doesn't have a whole lot of top speed. Coming back. Really easy to control. Let's do one more deep submerge and then take it out and see how much water's in this thing. Full throttle forward. Ah! Full throttle back. It just keeps going. That's great. See if we can bring it back and then let's... Come on. Okay, if you do that, you can kind of turn a little better. If you do little pulses, you can turn a bit better. Okay, so taking this thing out of the water, I'm gonna kind of keep it level. Let's take it over to the trampoline. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave everything on. As you can see, the lights are all still working. 4 lights on top, 2 in front. That's great. So taking this off, and as you can see, we got water just accumulated all over these electronic light connections. Still fine. Let me just take this cover off. It doesn't even seem like it's sealed, but it's, yeah, it's still working fine. There is some water down in there under the battery, not much at all. Everything's still plugged in. Let me just try this, see how much water comes out. Wow, barely any water. So the mesh, that mesh they put in here, it's somehow definitely keeping the water out partially. So the servo does seem like it's possibly being shorted and then turning to the right. Okay, so maybe a little bit of con there. You see that? Something shorting and it's kind of turning to the right a little bit in the servo. Let's just keep driving it. Let's see what happens if we come out of the water. We put this cover back on. If we can just keep driving around. Okay, so first little con. Water did get in the servo and there goes my steering. I still have totally fine throttle. It almost wants to do a wheelie on this trampoline. Wow, nice. It's just got so much traction on this trampoline. But there goes my steering. So the servo is gonna get wet first, it seems. Let me try to power down. Try to straighten out the servo here. Shake some water out. Hit it a little bit, get some of this water out. Let's turn this thing back on and see what happens. So let's turn the controller on first this time. And push that button forward. Well, nope. We got straight steering, but looks like that's going to be the weak point of this one. If you get water in it too much for too long, that servo is going to get shorted out and soaked. I'm going to let this thing dry out and then I'll come back to it and see if it works again. Okay guys, great truck with one major flaw. Basically, I let it dry out by the fan upside down. I want to say half a day, 4 hours or so. And then I tried to start it up and try the controller again, and the servo worked at first and then it just started to get messed up again in a couple seconds. And so I went ahead and just took the whole truck apart, and I'm going to show you that real quick. Really love this kind of like enclosed system with the screen on it. Really great setup here, and it seems to drain well when the water gets down. But here's how you take this thing off, just with a small Phillips screwdriver. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you got 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. So you take off the 8 screws. This top portion slides off super easy. So you just slide this up just like this, and then you're going to want to be careful because there's one wire that's actually to the lights that has to stay in there because it's actually soldered in. And then you have access to the bottom. We can see that we have the control antenna that's kind of smashed down. That's probably why it doesn't have very good range, just because this is set down right in there. We can see that the speed control receiver module here is really well sealed. It's got all this Sikaflex, I think is what they're using, this marine adhesive here that guards everything good. We can see the shaft running down the center. This whole thing drains really well when the water gets in. It's a brushed motor, so it's fine. That's not going to be affected by the water, so that's working fine still. The whole speed control works fine. And here's the problem. So the steering servo looks like it's fairly well sealed, but I just want to quickly take this off and show you guys what the problem is here. See, so we pull the servo out and it looks like it has sealant here on the side, on the edge here where the wire goes in, but this is a 2-piece servo, where you, like all servos are, where you unscrew these 4 screws and the bottom comes off and you have all the gears and electronics and the motors in there. There's no sealant for this seal on the side, so water's going to get in there, and it's also going to get in the top. This was all wet. I basically opened this up, hit it out a couple times, and a bunch of water, just droplets came out. So that's the major problem. They just didn't waterproof the servo good. And then the second weird issue here was this little thing. The connection from the speed control to the servo has this like little, I guess that's a 5-pin, 6-pin connector here, which almost looks like a balance connector from a LiPo battery, and I think it actually is. And then they have this kind of cheesy adapter here, and right when I pulled it out, some of the wires just came loose. It's just basically an adapter that's soldered here, and so you can plug in. So if you're going to want to make this a solid truck, get rid of this servo or waterproof this servo right away by dipping it in, you know, that rubber sealant or something, and then greasing up the inside and greasing up around the actual horn area here, so it's completely sealed. And then get rid of this thing, because that thing's going to give you trouble as soon as you pull it out. It looks like a really cheesy little adapter there that's just going to unsolder and break. You can already see the positive and negative already broke off of that. So that's the issue with this truck. I hope that was informative for you. Otherwise, a great truck. Of course, there's no oil-filled shocks, but you can always put oil-filled shocks eventually if you wanted to. Really easy, just bolt-on little modification upgrade. I did like the design of it. Really cool that you can go in the water and it has this little flotation foam device here. But again, the one major flaw is they did not waterproof the servo good enough, and that's going to ruin your day. I've only used it one time in the pool, and here I am having a bad servo because they did not waterproof it. So if they can, the company wants to look at this and make sure they really waterproof the servo and get rid of this weird connection thing here that breaks easily, then they're gonna have a solid little toy truck. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that review, and don't forget, I'll have the links down in the description so you can check out what the pricing is and more in-depth specs on this, and pick one up if you think you can waterproof that servo and just have a great time with this truck. It did really good otherwise, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.